All right, I'm going through these Batman Dark Knight Detectives. I did volume 3 before, and I've been going along with the Cape Crusader as well. I think the Dark Knight Detective gets ahead of Cape Crusader in terms of its time frame. So I'm actually going to go forward to this in volume 5 and then stay one behind on Cape Crusader because Dark Knight Detective goes up to volume 7 and 8, where Cape Crusader kind of stops at that point. And that gets us up to Nightfall, which is kind of nice. So this is the pre-Nightfall stuff done here. And this is Detective Comics, while the Cape Crusader is the Batman title. This one particularly covers, if you can see, here we go. Batman 601 through 611 and Detective Comics 601 through 611 and Detective Comics Annual number 2. I was saying in the last one, it was very nice to see this one. This is Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle doing pretty much all of this. The last one was pretty much no supernatural stuff with Batman. It was very much a detective stories, which was kind of neat. And that completely changes in this one. As you can see, like these faces melting and all that in the first storyline here. And this is pretty much 3 storylines plus the annual. And so we're getting more into like 3 and 4 part storylines as Batman goes and deals with some problems here. And you can see he's like facing off against a monster already here. And this monster is kind of like a golem creature that he has to deal with through the course of this. And he thinks he stops him at one point. He comes back and he actually teams up with the Demon. You can see here, Jack Kirby's the Demon is another character who doesn't get a lot of love in the DC Comics universe, really. But he is there. Now, the interesting, this is an early Mark Waid adventure from the annual. And this does not have Norm Brayfogle on the art. It's got Val Simeons, who's serviceable, but he's he just looks like a pretty bland house style. This one's a little rough. Mark Waid likes to delve into these, like the KKK is the villain, and it goes back as Batman. It's a neat take on it, I guess. It's just like I always find it difficult to read those because it's such an overdone thing, and it like really doesn't make sense. Like it really reads like somebody judging the South, and that seems to be a Mark Waid kind of thing to do. So this happens here, and of course he fights off this Klansman, and it turns out he's like talking to a Klansman in the future as he's like really old, and it's like old Batman going back recounting their past together when he's learning how to investigate crimes, basically. So very, very odd thing. The Mud Pack is a lot of fun by contrast. So Norm Brayfogle comes back, of course, for this. And look, his art is it's got a mix of dark and cartoony that's really like interesting and adds like a thing. So I guess Clayface had a girlfriend who was a mannequin, and he knocked her head off, goes crazy. And there's a bunch of other Clayfaces. There's one who's like a Hollywood actor, I guess, from before. There's like a female Clayface. And then there's one who like died and really isn't even like sentient anymore. But they all come together under this actor who like is trying to manipulate them and of course take over and become the real Clayface and like genetically alter himself. And as you see, he triggers Batman with like some Robin stuff. This one's a lot of fun, a good 4-parter through this. And this is a Batman delusion as he gets drugged up during this issue. Eventually, like the newer Clayface and the female Clayface like find love together and leave over the course of this. Really funny. Next one, there's like this anarchy deal going on, and there's this superhero type of person who he looks a lot like the Alan Moore what V for Vendetta guy but different colors, and he's just killing people in the name of anarchy and just like really being a savage vigilante. So Batman ends up hunting him down because he ends up doing things like to corporations which are illegal, and Batman has to like deal with that over the course of this deal. Then there's an Ode to Penguin 3-parter. And this 3-parter, of course, is done by Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle again. Look at this beautiful drawing right here, this splash page, where we're looking up at Batman. We see the shadows of his cape and all that. And the Penguin is dead, allegedly. And the Penguin has a bunch of henchmen and all that trying to cause a heist based on his death. And Batman eventually has to figure it out and stop all of them, is what it comes down to at the end of the day. So this one ends up being a lot more like a Batman sort of thing and a lot less like detective stuff like the 3rd volume was. And I thought they were delineating the 2 volumes like that, making Batman the more like against supervillains and then this one like that. But it just turns out that was just the storylines I happened to be reading in the last volume, which is fine. This is a lot of fun. This is an easy one you could pick up if you kind of barely know who these characters are. You'd be like, oh, okay, it's Batman. And that's it. And you'd get some good stories here. So this is good, and a lot of good reading. I call it an 8 out of 10 overall, and enjoying this series so far. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.